Good evening, people. You're welcome to our first ever episode of Know Your Alumni. I am Joshua Senyabo, the current organizing secretary. With me here is our first guest. He's a man of noble character and he needs no introduction. He's in the person of Mr. Benjamin Asamoah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Joshua.
First of all, we'd want to say thank you for opening up your doors to us when we first informed you about the interview. Would want you to share a bit about yourself.
Well, I think you have already introduced me. But first, I would like to appreciate this opportunity to be able to share my experiences with you and also with the masses out there. I'm Ben Asamoah, like you said. I'm a senior lecturer in this department. I've been teaching for the past, I think this is my 6th year or my 7th year here. I'm current outgoing department exams officer. I'm also the faculty exams officer in charge of marking in this faculty. I'm an alumni of the great department that we are all proud of. We are the first to come in, and then we are the first also to graduate. So a class of 2008. So basically that's all about me in terms of my experience within the Kenya University environment.
Wow. I didn't even know all this about him. I just felt he was a department exam officer. I didn't even know he's the department exams officer, the college exams officer. Faculty exam officer. That's very impressive. And class of 2008. I mean, I was in class 1 by then. A very long time. Okay, sir. Please, would also want you to tell us a bit about your academic journey, junior high school, and the experiences you had that also pushed your pursuit into exercise and sports therapy.
Okay. Well, thank you. My junior high school, I think I attended Blessing International. It's a school at Yenya also. That's where I had my junior secondary school. It was also a new school. We were also the pioneers at that time. We were the first from that school. At that time, when we graduated, I think our school was adjudged the best in the Ashanti region because our lowest marks was, I think, around aggregate 12. For myself, I had 10 ones, and I chose Opokuari School, the best school in Ghana. It's the school, Akatechi. So I went to Opokuari School for my secondary school, for my junior high school days. So in this junior high school, I think I was the prefect, if I'm not mistaken, yes. So it was where I built my leadership skills. It turned me and honed me to understand how to lead people and how to make matters of interest and be able to adjudicate or advance it in the larger context. So that propelled me into going into Opokuari School. So Opokuari School, I think that on our 50th anniversary, it was something very novel for a science student to be adjudged the best social science student or something. Because on our anniversary, I think they were picking people who were the best in every subject. And I was a science student. But I think on the subject of social science, I was the best overall student in the whole school. So I think I was given an award on our 50th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. If people do the search, they will be able to find my name there. So in terms of academic pursuit, I've always strived for excellence in every step of the way. Because if you want to go into academia, then you need to be well-read. You need to be very judicious with your studies and all that. So that has always been a propelling effect. Then from then, we came to the university. I wanted to do medicine in initial stages, but I think I did not apply early or something. So they told me that, okay, there's a new program that the Vice Chancellor at that time, Prof. Andam, had introduced. We had brought in an expert from the United States, Dr. J at that time. So he came to establish the Department of Sports Science at that time. And so they were picking new students, and it was housed in the medical school. So they said that, okay, if you come into the medical school and you are doing any course within the medical school, it is easier to switch to medicine. So that was my orientation, that I want to do medicine, so just switch into it. But when I came into the sports science and saw the scientific methods of exercise, of training, of understanding the mechanics of the body and all that, I grew interest in it. So I said, okay, why not? Because that was also a burgeoning area within Ghana, so they needed academics, people to train them and all that. So I said, okay, then let me put in the best and see how best we can grow into the whole process. So at the end of, I think, our study, we came in 2004, so 2008, they were selecting 2 people to go and train to become like lecturers and all that. Unfortunately, my name was mentioned in conjunction with Biggie Bonsu. So that's where we then, so we had to then apply for schools outside where they can train us as sports scientists. So I think we settled on Stellenbosch University. So that's where we went to do our masters in sports science. So that's where I went to do my masters in sports science in Stellenbosch University.
That's very impressive. Actually, I feel like I've done nothing in life. Very impressive. So I know you are also a psychologist. Yes. So first year, second semester, Mr. Ben tutored us intro into psychology. And I think 30 minutes into the class, the man was able to tell my temperament and even describe what I like and what I don't like. So we would also want to know, when people think about exercise and sports therapy, we are thinking about mechanics, body movements, exercising, strength, agility. How does psychology come into the space?
Yes, I think that people don't really give credence to the importance of psychology in exercise. Basically because they tell you that, okay, when you want to exercise, you just go and then you go into the gym, you are given certain treadmill, just go in and all that. But they forget that the attrition rate of exercise, especially if you are not very involved in exercise and you start without any motivation, you are not able to continue with the consistency of exercise. So the attrition rate of exercise is very high. So that's where the psychologist comes in, to then be able to psych you, be able then to prepare certain interventions for you to be able to stay in the exercise course and adhere to the exercise protocols. So for us, the psychologists, we come in, design certain programs, just like maybe motivational skills and then maybe self-esteem, because certain people, when you go into the exercise, maybe because of your weight, you may not really be much more conversant or comfortable within the space to be able to exercise in the relation to the people who are around you. Maybe someone will just body shame you and all that. It is then the responsibility of the exercise psychologist to come in and psych the person to be able to then design certain psychological interventions, like maybe motivational strategies, self-talk, positive outlook, maybe mental toughness. So we then come in and then we'll design it so that you can be able to be consistent into the exercise program. We also do counseling. Let's say when someone is anxious within the exercise space or even the sports space, going to any competition, like you are playing for maybe a team like Kotoko, when the player is going to the game, he has certain kind of anxiety attacks and all that. It is the responsibility of the sports psychologist to come in and try and then calm the player down with some form of maybe therapeutic modalities like, what's it called? How do I even put it? Maybe mental toughness things, or even certain kind of biofeedback techniques and all that, or distressing mechanism, like even simple things like playing music. If you watch some of the players, some of these elite athletes, when they are going into any game, you can see them with their iPhones, with their earbuds and all that, listening to music. There are people before any game, like perhaps maybe if Ahaz and Kotoko are playing and then we have you, Joshua, in the team, and you are going in and you are saying that, oh, I'm going to score today, Kotoko 4 will score, Kotoko will win and all that. If I'm a psychologist and I see you so hyper, I will tell the coach to put you on the bench because you are too hyper for such a high profile game. So it then becomes my responsibility to then dim your enthusiasm or your activation levels to a certain point that you can acclimatize to the tempo of the game. Otherwise, when you go in there will be so many blunders in and out. Then if also the player is not too activated, then it's a responsibility of also the psychologist to come in and then build the tempo to that extent. If you don't do that and you don't get that balance, then the result is catastrophic. So there is a very critical role for the sports psychologist in both the exercise therapy sessions and also in the sports context.
Thank you. I would want us to delve more into sports psychology and exercise science. But before that, over the years, the department has transitioned from exercise and sports therapy into physiotherapy and sports science. You, as an alumni, how do you see the transition, and has it helped, or do you judge, or would you say, was it the right time to do the transitioning, or was it the bad time to do the transitioning?
Okay, thank you. I think your question is very deep here, and I'll have to take my time to really explain it. When we came into the program, like I said, the program was BSc Sports and Exercise Science, so it was sports science. And in sports science, the focus is on the scientific principles informing sports and exercise. So how then do you enhance performance? How do you ensure that there's consistency in performance? What are some of the tools that you can give an athlete to be able to be consistent in his or her performance? But you know that the kind of society that we live in, we are living in a very conservative society like in Ghana. Not many people are amenable to change. So when the program came in, there was no space for the sports scientists to operate. Because you go into a team like House of Folk or you go into a team like Kotoko, they have certain protocols in place, and there's no room for the exercise scientists to come in and bring in the scientific principles of training. So they have their coaches and all that. They don't look at the scientific aspect of improving the player's condition and also ensuring successful performance. So it became very difficult within the space of employability of the graduates. That's when I think the university management then said that, okay, why then don't we align another program that has similar attributes to the sports science? And so at that time, the management of the university thought it, okay, let's try and metamorphosize the university, the program into a program like physiotherapy, exercise therapy, and then sports management. And so then the management sat and then we came up with different 3 programs, but in a composite department. And that's where the name changed from sports and exercise science into physiotherapy and sports science. So currently in the program houses 3 different specializations. That's the physiotherapy, that's the sports and exercise therapy, and then the sports management. So that we can be able to get more students into the space and also be able to fill the gap that are inherent within the contextual space of Ghana. Because physiotherapy is known. Exercise therapy is also a bit known because now there's a lot of sports gyms opening here and there. People are exercising, people go into the gym, and then all they do is just to lift weights. But before you are allowed to pick any weight, we need to be able to get your baseline measurements. Whether you have any preconditions, if you have certain conditions like hypertension, the exercise you are doing, is it adaptable to your body? Is your body able to acclimatize to it, or is it going to be detrimental to your health? Is the weight you are lifting, would your body be able to acclimatize to it, or is it going to be detrimental to your health? That's where the exercise therapists come in. So exercise therapy comes in to fill the space of then designing the exercise program suited for the body composition of that individual who's coming in, or the exercise needs of that individual who's coming in. Or even when you go to the hospital and the doctor tells you that, oh, Joshua, you need to exercise. What kind of exercise do you engage in? Or do you just go and run? Before you know, you slum and you die. We've heard certain people have gone into the gyms and they slum and die. It's because perhaps they did not take into consideration their body adaptations to the exercise load they were doing. And that's why it is important and imperative that we get exercise scientists at every gym within the country to be able to help in the design, in the administration, and in the monitoring of the exercise program. So you are not in any mean department. You are in a very special department that has a certain focus on bridging the gap between what is known out there and practicalizing the knowledge base out there. Yes.
Okay, thank you. You spoke on the fact that the senior staff wanted to create a more inclusive opening, hence increasing the number of students that come in to pursue the program. But um, I'm also part of the program, obviously, and I've noticed that we are the least populated when it comes to the college and even in the school as far. And it's as a result of the critique we get from the outside. You get people saying, "Oh, physiotherapy, dear, it's just PE, exercise and sports therapy is just the gym." And sports management is even unknown to some people. What business students look at is always accounting and then getting their chartered, and they forget about even the sports aspect of it. So what would be your advice to a parent or a senior high school student who would want to pursue such a course, and then also elaborate on the prospects when it comes to physiotherapy, exercise and sports therapy, and also sports management?
Okay, thank you. I think it all has to do with the interest of the students and also the market and employability of the prospective program that we are talking about. Physiotherapy is a health science program. We take care of the diseased individual who have mobility challenges. So let's say someone has stroke. It is the job of the physiotherapist to be able to rehabilitate that individual to high and functioning capacity. It's also the job of the exercise therapist. Like when, say, a player is injured, the player goes through the phases of rehabilitation, getting the player back onto the competitive field. That is the responsibility of the exercise therapist, to condition the player back into the field. In Ghana here, we don't have a lot of experts within that space. Most of the people that are in the space are people that they have grown into the space because there were vacuum. People were not there with the prerequisite qualifications. Now we are brought in this program. We are training people who have the qualification to be able to ensure that someone who is injured, a player, when the player is injured, are going through the physio phases. When he's getting back onto the field, we need to condition him so that he comes back and his performance is not declining but is improving. So that is the job of the exercise therapist, to then to be able to condition that. We don't have experts within that space. And so there's a lot of marketability and employability within that space. And that comes account for the exercise therapist. Within the physiotherapy, I think most of the time it is housed within the hospitals. But I've seen that there is a certain burgeoning entrepreneurship avenue that is opening up within that space, where some of the physiotherapists are opening their own facilities and all that. Why? Is because there's an increase in the non-communicable disease within the Ghanaian society, perhaps because of the globalization drive that is now happening and because of the eating habits of people. So there are a lot of people who are suffering stroke, who are suffering certain kind of obesity-related diseases and all that. So we need certain people who have the prerequisite knowledge to be able to help get you back to your pre-disease condition state. And that's where the physiotherapist comes in. So you don't even wait for the government to employ you. You are employable, because there are a lot of space out there. These days, a lot of even people who are clamoring for massage and all that. The exercise therapist can do it. The physiotherapist also can do it. Now, within the sports space, that's where the sports management people come into the fray. You have your stadiums. You have some of these sports facilities. And even the drive of the MPP government is to build these AstroTurf. There should be people who are managing the AstroTurf, keeping the maintenance culture high, ensuring that the state is not deteriorating and all that. So what do? We need people who have knowledge on how to manage those facilities. And that's why KNUS have thought it wise to then bring this program so that we can be able to fill the vacuum of managers of those facilities. So in Ghana here, when we went to the Black Stars, let's look at the Black Stars as a test case. We went to the AFCON 2023. We were taken out of the first group. We are repeated in Cameroon. We're also taken from the group stage. What is happening? Perhaps the football standard is falling within Ghana, or perhaps there's something fundamentally wrong. So that's where the the sports management people come into the fray. They taught them how to do the management aspect of players, how to manage facilities, how to understand certain marketing strategies, communication skills, and all that. So all these things, you should have experts, people who have the knowledge base to be able then to look at the problem and be able to come up with solutions for it. And so those people, if they come out, they have certain job placement within the sports authority space, the GFA, the Ghana Boxing Association. I mean, it's a lot. And these days, you know that where the money resides is in sports management. There's huge financial benefits out there. And so the employability for the 3 programs cannot just be discounted. It's huge. And so I will encourage parents, students to come in, do this program, and then you see that you are now in a very comfortable space where people are not so flooded within the space, and then you can be employed. You don't have to stay home for too long to be employed. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We are getting to the end of the session. I would want to ask, it's been 20 years now. Let's shake a bit of the tables. Would you say we've gotten there as a department, or we are still getting there?
Well, when you take a retrospective look at where we came from, I think we made some significant strides, but there's more to be done. We are not there yet. I don't think that there's any program that will tell you that they are there yet. I think we are in a space where people don't know us. People don't know the spaces within the Ghanaian industry space where we can fit in. So then it's incumbent on us to be the marketers of those things. So I think your interview is one of the ways where we can be able to market it. So people need to understand that to be able to even build a gym, there have to be some experts who are informing you on what kind of machines to bring, what kind of people to even bring into the space. When the person come in, what kind of data are you taking? And are you doing the right monitoring and all that? Are you giving the person the expected output that the person needs? So all these things need to be done, and that's the work of the exercise therapist. Now, within the maintenance culture that the president, most of these politicians have been saying, what can we do as maybe sports managers to be able to do that? That is why this program is there, to be able to help. So we are just trying to bridge the gap. And so it's going to be taking some time to be able to conscientize the whole nation on these novel programs that Kenya University has introduced. So it has to be a deliberate drive to then market the program to the entire populace to understand. So it is incumbent on you, it's incumbent on us to use the social media space, to use the traditional media space to drive it home, so that the people who are in policy making and in decision making can then be able to say, oh, okay, there's this program in Care University. We need them to come in and be able to advise us on how then to kind of improve. So we are in a work in progress, and I believe that our impact will be felt not in the near.
Okay, people, thank you for staying with us. We've come to the end of our session, but before we leave, we would want to ask one last question. We would also want to know your favorite quote.
Favorite quote?
Yes, and also send a message out to our alumni to come back home and be of aid to us.
Okay. My favorite quote is by a certain broadcaster, a famed British broadcaster. I think he said something. He said, the depravity of man is the most intellectually resistant, at the same time, the most empirical, verifiable fact. So that is my favorite quote. That if you are told that you are a bad person, you may not accept it, but your deeds will prove it. And so that's my favorite quote. The depravity of man is the most intellectually resistant, at the same time, the most empirical, verifiable fact. And to my alumni and my brothers and sisters out there, I say that sports science has evolved over the years. There are a lot of interesting things happening, and we are inviting you to come in and help us to drive home this revolution that we are seeing that is happening within Ghana in terms of the exercise space, in terms of the sports space, in terms of the physiotherapy space. So I know that we are all in a certain place where we can contribute to be able to help, to be able to explode this new terrains that we find ourselves. So I invite my brothers and sisters to come in and then join our hands together and see how best we can conscientize the whole nation on how best to use exercise as a treatment modality and also as intervention to avoid certain kind of diseases. So we are waiting for you back in Care University, and we hope that you respond to our call. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. From the Office of the President and the Vice President, we'd want to say a very big thank you. We are very humble. You've been very receptive to us. We are so grateful that you opened up your arms for this interview. I, for one, is very inspired to pursue more and not limit myself to just being a practicing physiotherapist, but to even go further as to further into psychology and other aspects that the course presents. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, thank you and have a blessed day. Bye.